These are records of the experiments undertaken at foster facility Like Family. I'm entrusting them to Yulia, a young girl who was raised at that facility. In normal circumstances, I would never place such a heavy burden on the shoulders of a child. But these are not normal circumstances. It is my fervent hope that this information finds its way into the hands of a compassionate soul, so that these horrors can finally be exposed to the light of day. MODS virus experiment reports from foster facility Like Family.
What in the name of...
And that's a lot of soldiers. Hopefully this means they haven't moved that mech already.
There are no indications that any large ship has departed from here in the last few hours. Even supposing they transported it over land, they will not have gotten far.
Where's Patrick?
He has sent no further communication. I cannot determine his current whereabouts.
Guess I gotta find him the old-fashioned way. Alright, Koshka, here goes.
Great. What am I supposed to do with his dead ass? Where are we with transport?
Sir, we've already completed work on one mech. The other is in progress in Warehouse 1.
This is taking a lot longer than it should. You useless piece of trash! I don't care if you want to go and get yourself killed. Just don't waste my precious time doing it!
Apologies, sir. It's because we had orders to look for that girl.
Fuck your orders! Why the hell are soldiers playing tag with a damn kid when there's a war going on? Forget about the kid! The Wanzer takes priority!
Yes, sir.
One's already been moved. Wait, there are two of these things?
The enemy soldiers in this vicinity are leaving. Now is your chance.
I better get to that warehouse. And fast.
Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Calm down. Tell me what happened.
We were hiding upstairs and then all of a sudden enemy soldiers ran in. I didn't think, I just bolted, but I don't think the other girl made it out.
Where were you? This building?
Yeah, on the second floor, number 205. Please, you have to help her.
Okay, you wait right here until I get back, understood? Koshka, mark number 205 for me.
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Hey, anyone here? Say something if you are. Wait a second. Where is she?
Caution. The enemy is approaching.
I told her to stay here. Where did she run off to?
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Enemy spotted!
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting information to your device. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Enemy spotted!
Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting information to your device. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. enemy is approaching. Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting information to your device. Warning. There are multiple enemies in the vicinity. The enemy is on high alert.
There!
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Oh, you're that soldier from before. You got out safe and sound.
So this is where you were. I thought I told you to stay put until I got back.
Forget about that. Listen, I just heard screams coming from inside the building.
There's no way to know if that's true or not. Still, I guess I can't just write it off. Can you tell me where you heard the screams coming from?
The third floor. I'm pretty sure.
All right, I'll be right back. So stay here this time, okay? Koshka, mark the third floor rooms for me.
Be careful.
Caution. The enemy is approaching.
I don't want to die yet.
Caution. The enemy is approaching. 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 Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Nope.
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. Close quarters weapon damaged. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Where are they?
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
There!
Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting information to your device. Warning. There are multiple enemies in the vicinity. The enemy is on high alert. Caution. The enemy is approaching.
That's better. That's better.
Caution. The enemy is approaching. 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 Caution. Close quarters weapon damage worsening. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting in
So this is it. I've never seen anything like it before.
There are fewer guards inside the building. I advise dealing with them first.
Makes sense. They wouldn't have wanted more people than necessary to see this thing. Alright. This'll be a piece of cake.
They are still armed and dangerous, Mikhail. Do not take this lightly. Caution. The enemy is approaching. 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 Caution. The enemy is approaching.
Looks like I'm out of ammo.
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Caution. The enemy is approaching. Enemy troop deployments have changed. Transmitting information to your device. Caution. The enemy is...
I'm hit!
Caution. The enemy is approaching. Enemy troop deployment. Transmitting information to your device. Warning. There are multiple enemies in the vicinity. The enemy is on high alert. Caution. Body armor damage. Of the enemy in the area. It is safe for the time being.
Well fought, Staff Sergeant Shuvalov. Apparently, this mech is codenamed Bulk. I did a brief analysis before you arrived. This was definitely manufactured here using those stolen plans.
This is what Zaftra wanted, isn't it?
Yes, it is. A Zaftran corporation pilfered those plans and manufactured this mech here. Not that it really matters much now.
Why not?
Circumstances have changed. My job's done. Whatever happens now is out of my hands. How was your trip to the slums? Come back with any useful souvenirs? A kid? Oh, you mean Yulia Smirnova. She's one of the orphans Zaftra. Well, Simargl really was collecting. I heard she'd been taken away, but maybe she managed to escape. True. You are just an ordinary soldier. Makes sense you would know about them. Simargl's a nationalist group that controls pretty much all of Zaftra as we know it. Simply put, any power to be had, they have it. No laws can stop them. Every top dog in every organization belongs to Simargl. Every last aspect of life in Zaftra is under their thumb.
What are they doing here?
There's been constant fighting ever since this country split in two. Starting with that liberation movement. As a matter of course, when public safety takes a nosedive, the number of people without families or desperate for money skyrockets. And that was all part of the plan.
Of course more and more people are losing their families. Even I know how crazy high the crime rate is out there. Are you saying they're using those people to make money or something?
Simargl is using those people to research the effects of a certain virus. They had some idea of what it does, but they needed a much bigger sample size to research it further. The virus itself isn't very contagious since it's bloodborne. You practically have to be infected on purpose. That's why they arranged for this war to break out. That's why all these people have died. That's why all this blood has been shed. Who knows? I never said I had all the details. The one thing I am sure of is that they're planning something even more sinister than what they've already done. And there's nothing more I can do. The rest is up to HQ. I expect they'll be intervening soon. You should get out of here as fast as your legs will take you, Sergeant. Explaining everything was the least I could do. It doesn't matter what I tell you here, since after this is all over, the flow of information will be restricted anyway. There's an underground route that will lead you out of here, and straight into Newtown. I'll send a helicopter to pick you up from one of the buildings. Oh, and the person who gave me the evidence for all this will be heading that way too. You should meet up with her.
You didn't really think I'd let you escape, did you? Now talk. How much of what you just said was bullshit? You said that virus was bloodborne. Answer me! What happens if you get infected?
If you're gonna fool your enemy, first you fool your friends. A cruel tactic, but effective. Well, I'm still waiting for my people to fill me in on the details of their investigation, but I can hazard a guess. Apparently, they call the MODS virus by another name. Euthanasia. So sadly, you'll probably die. How many people have you killed since setting foot in Nova Slava? You never were anything more than a disposable tool for them. Ivan Zastyevich.
I get it now. They were being literal when they told me to make it a bloodbath. Then all your loose ends tie themselves up in a nice little bow. You don't even have to kill them yourself. That's why they sent me to this shithole without any backup! You're coming with me! Our fates are intertwined now. Those bastards won't get away with using me!